Good evening, baseball fans, and welcome to another presentation of Trinity Baseball on the Tiger Network. We are getting ready for a cross-conference matchup between the top-ranked Trinity Tigers and the Crusaders of the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor. I'm Brian Yanselson, and I'm joined by Luke Terry. Luke, these two teams already faced each other this year, with Trinity coming out on top. What are you expecting to see in tonight's rematch?
Well, Brian, you're right. These two teams have seen each other this year, 2 weeks ago today to be specific, and I'm sure both teams are fresh in each other's minds. In that game, that midweek game, we saw a combined 9 pitchers from the two sides, and I think we're probably going to see something similar as they're both playing outside their conference this week. So it's going to be important for both of these teams and their pitching staffs to get in the game and get in a rhythm early because they're probably not going to have long.
This certainly should be a good one. And before we get started, let's take a look at the lineup for the visiting Crusaders. Leading off at center field, Caden DeBerardini. Batting second, shortstop, Cayman Holiday. Batting third, designated hitter, Jeb Zolman. First baseman, hitting cleanup, Malik Bowlin. Batting fifth, right fielder, Mateo Calle. Batting sixth at catcher, Hunter McQuarrie. Batting seventh, left fielder, Hunter Jones. Batting eighth, second baseman, Blake Harmon. And batting ninth at third base, Rhett Groves. And now the starting lineup for your Trinity Tigers. Leading off, right fielder, Rafe Chomet. Batting second, shortstop, Michael Herrera. Batting third, second baseman, Jack Wisniewski. Batting cleanup, Brian Schaub, and we will get to the rest of the Tigers lineup when they come to bat, as we have the first pitch delivered by starting pitcher Mark Tyndall. This is Tyndall's first appearance on the year for the Tigers. As that one is fouled back by DeBerardini. Luke, what are you hoping to see from Tyndall tonight?
Well, Brian, Tyndall's working his way back from injury. This will be his second appearance on the season, his first official innings of the year. And for the big righty, it's just going to be important to work in the zone, let the defense play behind him, and just build some confidence and consistency early here in the year.
And another one is fouled back. Tyndall's last appearance for the Tigers was May 18th of 2019 versus Franklin. So certainly good to see Tyndall back on the mound tonight, as that ball is high for a ball. 3-2 count to start tonight's game. That one is hit out to left field. Going back, and that is off the wall. And DeBardini is into second base for a double. Left fielder unable to come up with that one. Brian Schaub running up against the wall.
Yeah, and in this image you can see right here, you can see the wind that's moving the trees a little bit down the left field line, and it just felt like this one kept carrying, and it got a little bit too far up the wall for Schaub to be able to haul in.
Looked like he could have had a play on it, just unable to come up with it. So a runner on second base with nobody out for Cayman Holiday, the sophomore from Selma, Texas. This is the Crusaders' leading hitter on the year, and he hits that one to left field. That one looks to be a bit more playable for Schaub out there. Runner is tagging up and forces a throw to third base, but isn't going anywhere yet. So one down for the Crusaders here in the top of the first inning. That's a big out for Tyndall, as Holiday leads the team hitting .372, has 32 hits on the year, 11 doubles. So
yeah, and after that first ball, it looked like Tyndall had a pop-up that was going to be the first out of the game. So for one to get down on that first batter of the game, for him to have to work with traffic at second base, to be able to come back and get a quick out with or against one of the best hitters on this Mary Hardin Baylor lineup. That's an important one today for Tyndall.
Now we see the designated hitter Jeb Zalman at the plate. And he lines that one into center field, and that gets down for a base hit. Runner is held up at third base, but now Zellman is off for second, and he is thrown out trying to get second base. So a nice defensive play for the Tigers right there. Meredith gunning it into the infield, and the runner held up at third. See the replay right here. This is the double to lead off the game. We'll get a replay in a second of that last base hit. So we get a visit to the mound after a couple hard hit balls for the Crusaders, but no runs on the scoreboard yet thanks to that defensive play by Meredith.
Yeah, and while I'm sure there is a little bit of discussion occurring right now in regards to a couple of hard hit balls in a row, I'm sure pitching coach Dave Smith will be out there to talk to Tyndall as we see that replay right there. It looked like the third base coach was holding the runner from the start, and the hitter just not on the same page there. But I'm sure part of that conversation between Tyndall and Coach Smith right there was beyond the fact that he's given up a couple of hits here. Despite the fact that he's got a runner on third, it'll be important. Just keep attacking the zone, understanding that runner on third is not going to hurt you this early on in the game.
And now Malik Bowlin is up with 2 outs trying to drive in a run for Mary Hardin Baylor after a leadoff double from De Berardini. Tyndall's 1-0 is in there for a strike. And the 1-1 is grounded foul past third base.
Yeah, and 3 pitches into this at bat, it really seems like Tyndall has an approach against Bolin in this one. 3 consecutive pitches on the inner half of the plate.
Tyndall's 1-2 pitch is high for ball 2, and Mary Hardin Baylor trying to get off to a similar start as they did last time they hosted the Tigers up in Belton. They took a 4-0 lead, only to have Trinity respond with 7 runs right after that, but they're hoping to get out in front here, but that one is popped up to first base, and Von der Aar has it for out number 3, so a leadoff double for the Crusaders, but they are unable to bring him around to score, and Tyndall throws a scoreless first inning with the Tigers coming to bat in the bottom of the first. And before the Tigers come to bat, we will complete that lineup for you. Leading off will be right fielder Rafe Chomet. Batting second, shortstop Michael Herrera. Batting third at second base, Jack Wisniewski. Hitting cleanup, the leading home run hitter in the SCAC, Brian Schaub. Batting fifth, first baseman Jack Vonderhaar. Batting sixth in center field, Mason Meredith. Batting seventh at third base, MJ Metz. Catching and batting eighth, Tyler Pettit. And hitting ninth, the designated hitter, Michael Goodrich. And on the mound for the Crusaders, we will see right-handed pitcher Trevor Ripke. Ripke is ready to deliver his first pitch of the night, and it is low to Chomet. Ripke coming off allowing 5 runs, only 2 of which were earned to Sul Ross State in his last appearance. And that one is called for a strike. So a 2-1 count for the leadoff hitter. The Tigers' leading hitter, hitting .397.
And there on that replay, you saw that first strike at bat. It looked like it was a little bit outside. It's a third pitch, and as Chomet steps out of the box, he shakes his head, understanding that that should have been ball 4 right there.
Now he has to deal with the 3-1 pitch from Ripke, and he bounces that one towards second base, but it is easily gathered there for the first out. Harmon collecting that ground ball and getting the ever-important leadoff hitter out, especially one like Rafe, who has 5 stolen bases on the year. That'll bring up shortstop Michael Herrera. First pitch to Herrera is a called strike. So a couple close pitches that have gone Ripke's way early on. That breaking ball is just high. 4-1 to even up the count.
Yeah, and very early in this game, we see Ripke already mixing up his pitches. He's gotten ahead, but he's thrown 2 breaking balls in a row right here. Pretty frequently, first time through a lineup, especially at this level, you'll see a pitcher throw a lot of fastballs, expecting hitters to be sitting. But you have to wonder, after the last meeting with the Tigers, in which Trinity exited that game having hit the ball upwards of 14 times and around 20 base runners, if the Crusaders have a little bit of a different approach on the mound tonight, wanting to mix it up early, keep hitters off balance, try and get soft contact like we saw on that first at-bat of the game.
The 3-2 to Herrera is fouled back, and absolutely, Luke, we saw a ton of offense that game. Every Tiger had at least 1 hit up in Belton, and all but 2 had an RBI. So an explosion offensively for the Tigers that they certainly hope to replicate here tonight down in San Antonio.
Yeah, and the key for the Crusaders, as we see this payoff pitch here, a great 2-seam fastball by Ripke. We'll see it again. Just comes back and catches the outside part of the plate. I know Herrera doesn't like it, but I think that's a pretty good pitch right there, and one you can't really afford to lay off when you have a full count. But as we were saying, Brian, you talked about in the open how Mary Hardin-Baylor jumped out ahead in the first meeting between these two this year, putting up 4 runs in the first inning. but that Trinity responded immediately by putting up seven of their own. So here for the Crusaders, it'll be important to squash that.
And that first pitch from Wisniewski is grounded back towards the middle and recorded for the out. So a quick 1-2-3 inning for Ripke. So none of that offense so far that we've been talking about, but we will see if the Crusaders have something to say about that as we head to the top of the second inning. And as we come back for the top of the second inning, you see right here on your screen, the Trinity Tigers remain atop the country for D3 Baseball. According to D3Baseball.com's top 25, the Tigers are ranked number 1 with Washington University in St. Louis right behind them at number 2. As the first pitch of the inning is a strike. Tigers 16-1, winners of 9 consecutive games, helps find them at the top spot. Tyndall's 0-2 pitch is high to Mateo Calle. Calle from Medellin, Colombia. Grounds it up the middle to Wisniewski at second base, who throws a little bit high, but able to get the out to lead off the inning. So, Luke, you saw those rankings in Division III. How do you think the Tigers are feeling sitting atop the leaderboard?
I think they're feeling really good being all the way up there. I feel that more than likely this roster thinks that they're getting the recognition that they deserve. It's made up in large part of guys that have returned and are taking advantage of an extra year of eligibility. And it's a group of guys that have been trying to get back to the College World Series, chasing what the graduating class before them did of bringing a title to San Antonio and to Trinity.
Ooh, and that 1-1 pitch from Tyndall, up and tight on Hunter McQuarrie. You see the replay right here. That'll get someone's attention for sure. Even the guys behind home plate. And the 2-1 is also high and away this time. Now the 3-1 from Tyndall is fouled back, hitting the home plate umpire. He'll take a stroll out to the mound. And now McQuarrie is back in the batter's box for this 3-2 pitch. 1 out, nobody on. And he fouls that one straight back. So good swing right there on a 3-2 pitch.
Yeah, good swing there, but good job by Tyndall in this at-bat to work back, especially after seeing a pitch up around the head of the batter.
And McQuarrie grounds that one to second base once again. And another out recorded by Wisniewski.
And again, great job by Tyndall there. as we'll see this replay. Just looked like the batter got a little bit jammed on that one. Sent it out towards second base.
That brings up freshman Hunter Jones, who looks to get something going here with 2 outs and nobody on. That breaking ball's in there for a strike, evening the count at 1-1. Another breaking ball at 1-1. Called a ball by the home plate umpire, bringing the count to 2-1. Home plate umpire asks at first about that check swing. Looks like he called it a ball, so 3-1 count for Jones with 2 outs and nobody on in the second inning. That one's called a strike on the outside corner. So another 3-2 count for Tyndall as he looks to retire the Crusaders 1-2-3 in the second inning. The 3-2 foul back by Jones, extending the top of the second.
Yeah, and since that pitch that we saw up at the head of the hitter, it's felt like Tyndall's been in control. He's moving fast right now, and he gets the strikeout to in the top of the second right there.
Yeah, strikeout with a fastball high and away. So Tyndall records Mary Hardin-Baylor 1-2-3. You see this last strikeout right here before we head to break. We will be right back as the Tigers look to get going offensively, tied at 0 with the Crusaders. We are back here in San Antonio as Trinity and Mary Hardin-Baylor are tied at 0 in the bottom of the second inning. And in steps left fielder Brian Schaub, who is happy to see the Crusaders as he hit 2 home runs and drove in 5 runs last time these two teams faced each other. Schaub, the leading home run hitter in the SCAC, with 6 on the year. He sees that one go outside, brings the count to 1-1.
Yeah, Brian, but he'll be especially excited to see the Crusaders here today as he's been held without a home run in his last 6 games.
So it sounds like he's due for one against a team he's comfortable hitting home runs against. 2-1 pitch to Schaub. Low and outside. So a 3-1 count for Schaub. We'll see if Ripke wants to give him anything to hit here to lead off the inning, or if it's worth just putting him on. And Schaub throws the bat, starts walking to first base thinking he had ball 4. But as we saw a couple times this weekend, he is called back as that one looks to be outside, but umpire believes that was a strike.
Yeah, Brian. But either way, I think it goes, and it's worth noting to say that it's understandable as
That one is lined to left field and it hits the wall, foul, says the third base umpire. That one was roped out to left field.
it's important to note why Schaub is the Tigers' home run leader, as we see that he just gets out in front of this one here. Wouldn't have been a home run if it had stayed fair. As you see the wall a little bit cut out there in left field. But Schaub has hit so many out this year because he has such great awareness and plate discipline, right? We see him ahead in the count a ton, and that forces pitchers to throw fastballs, which are great pitches for him to hit.
And that 3-2 pitch is outside for ball four. And as long as he keeps racking the walks up, it is worth mentioning that that is Schaub's 27th walk, enough to lead the entire nation in Division III. So we've been mentioning his home runs, and opposing pitchers really want nothing to do with that, walking him 27 times this year.
And now we get to see the depth of the Tigers' order as we see the 5-hole hitter, Jack Vonderhaar, step up. And you get one home run heavy hitter step up. And you get another that lays down a bunt here.
Ripke able to collect that one and get the out at first base, but Schaub does move over to second base. So interesting here. Looks like Vonderhaar was squaring around for a base hit. Not a sacrifice, but he does end up moving the runner over.
Yeah, and that looked like a drag bunt right there. He took it with him as a left-handed hitter down the line. Unfortunate, though, that Ripke, a righty on the mound, is going to fall off, and he's going to be moving in that direction. So he had a little bit of a jump on that ball on the ground. Made it a little bit easier of a play for the starting pitcher.
Now Mason Meredith steps into the plate. Pitch one called for a strike. Meredith came into the series against Austin College hitting .278, but we see his average has now increased upwards of .290. So a good series for the center fielder, and now looking to drive in a run for the Tigers as that pitch is also called a strike. So that outside corner is there for Ripke.
So long as that outside corner is being given to the pitcher, it'll be the responsibility of the Tigers to step up, crowd the plate a little bit, and show that they're willing to swing at that pitch, make the Crusader pitcher throw in other parts of the zone, and then at that point the Tigers will be able to reestablish, take a normal position in the box, and really get down to hitting.
Meredith faces a 1-2 count here. Swings and just able to foul that back to stay alive. Ripke prepares his 1-2 pitch yet again. And he loops a breaking ball that's skied out to center field. Easy out there for out number 2 on the inning. So now it'll be up to MJ Metz to try to bring in a run with 2 outs here in the second inning. Metz sees ball 1 outside. You saw Metz hitting .381 on the year, coming off a good series against the Kangaroos. Drove in a couple of runs, including on Friday's doubleheader. Good Friday doubleheader. And that pitch is outside, 2-0.
Here with 2 outs and a zone that's a little bit stretched out into the opposite batter's box of right-handed hitters. This is probably the exact guy that the Tigers one up here at the plate right now. 6'5", has the long arms to go out and get that pitch on the outside and send it through the right side of the infield, hoping to bring in a run here.
Yeah, and you see right there, ball 3 to bring the count to 3-0, but Ripke really trying to take advantage of that outside part of the plate. He's gotten a couple of called strikes early on. Now he faces a 3-0 count to Metz, and that ball is high for ball 4. So second walk of the inning for the Tigers. Schaub standing out there at second base, and now Metz on first base, and that'll bring up the catcher, Tyler Pettit. Ripke's first pitch to Pettit is outside. And not used to seeing an 8-hole hitter for many teams have 19 runs batted in, but there's just nowhere to rest here when facing the Tigers lineup.
Absolutely. And although Pettit does boast that average that's well up over 300, he enters today's game after having only 2 hits in the series last weekend against Austin College. And with a runner sitting at second base right now, you know Pettit's going to want to get back to hitting the ball, putting it in play, and driving in runs especially.
He'll look to do that here on Ripke's 1-1 pitch. Looks back at the runner. And that ball is outside and in the dirt. Nice stop there to prevent the runners from moving over. But the count now is 2-1 in Pettit's favor. Opportunity to get the Tigers on the board first here in the bottom of the second inning. 2-1 pitch is just outside. That's a call we've seen already go Ripke's way, so he was looking for that one. But just outside. And now the count is 3-1. So Pettit looking to get a pitch to hit here with a couple runners on. And instead he looks at ball 4. So a third walk in the inning. 3 walks to load the bases for the Tigers. And in comes somebody who had quite the series against Austin College. Michael Goodrich in the 9-hole.
Yeah, and you can look at any spot in this Tigers lineup and point at a name and say that having that guy hit there is proof of such a deep lineup, but I don't know if that holds true anywhere else the way it does here, having Goodrich hitting in the 9-hole for the Tigers.
Yeah, and Goodrich with 5 runs batted in a game against Austin College, becoming the 7th Tiger with at least 10 RBI. And now he has the bases loaded with 2 outs. That first pitch is in for a strike. So a key pitch right there for Ripke to get ahead after walking 3 to load the bases. But Goodrich right back at the plate. Looks to do some damage early for the Tigers. The 0-1 is grounded to third and collected for the third out. So Ripke escapes the jam, leaves the bases loaded. So both teams with a couple opportunities to score early on, but we remain scoreless here in San Antonio. As we head to the top of the third inning, we will be right back. Welcome back to San Antonio, where we have Trinity and Mary Hardin Baylor tied at 0. As we get started in the third inning, Mark Tyndall still on the mound for the Tigers. And at the plate for the Crusaders is Blake Harmon, the second baseman. Harmon swings through that one for strike one.
Yeah, and as Tyndall continues to work back from injury here, it will be important to keep an eye on that pitch count, as that one's fouled down the left side.
Yeah, you mentioned that pitch count. If you missed us at the start of today's game, this is Tyndall's first appearance since 2019, as that pitch is down and away. May 18th, 2019, Tyndall's last appearance. And that breaking ball gets away from him to bring the count full to 3-2. In 2019, Tyndall threw 60 innings, had a record of 6-0 with a 3.75 ERA. And that one is swung on and missed. So a strikeout there for Tyndall.
Yeah, and right there you see the 6'5" righty just pull down on that one and is absolutely able to overpower the hitter right there. I think we've seen Tyndall really settle in for the last 4 outs. He's retired the last 5 batters in a row now. As that one gets away, we have seen him struggle a little bit with command on the inner half of the plate, but overall I think 40 pitches into this appearance so far, Tyndall will be very satisfied. But it'll be interesting to see now, 40 pitches in, how much farther he'll go in this one.
And Rhett Groves lines that one down the third base line. It gets all the way to the wall, and he will coast into second base for a double. So the second double of the day for the Crusaders, this time from Groves at the bottom of the lineup. And that'll turn the lineup over to leadoff hitter Caden DeBerardini, who himself had a double in the first inning. Tyndall looks back at the runner and throws that one just outside for a ball. We'll see if the Crusaders can take advantage of this runner in scoring position. That one is looped in there for ball 2. So DeBerardini gets a good hitter's count here as he tries to drive in Groves, who lined a double down the third base line. Tyndall's 2-0 pitch is hit back towards center field. That's playable for Mason Meredith out there. He gets the ball back in. Groves does advance to third base, but there are 2 outs here in the third inning.
Yeah, and this one not incredibly well struck, but it is deep enough to get the runner moved over from second to third, as it looked like Meredith didn't get a great read on that one off the bat, ended up catching it on the back pedal, and in the end didn't have enough to get it to third base before the runner arrived.
Now Cayman Holiday with another opportunity, as Pettit able to block that one in the dirt to save a run. Holiday flied out with the runner in scoring position back in the first inning. The 1-0 to Holiday. Low and away as well. So another hitter's count for the Crusaders as they look to get on the board here in the top of the third. They have a runner on third base. Tyndall's 2-0 pitch in the dirt again, really trusting Pettit behind the plate.
Yeah, Pettit's done a great job back there tonight, and this at bat especially, and on the season as a whole.
Tyndall's 3-0 pitch. Inside, so Holiday draws a 4-pitch walk. And maybe not the worst idea in the world, seeing as though Holiday is the Crusaders' leading hitter, but that'll bring up the heart of the order at the same time.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brian.
And that'll be it for Mark Tyndall. So, unable to get out of the third inning, leaves runners at the corners with 2 out. And we will be right back as we see who the Tigers are bringing in to try to get out of this inning. In for the Tigers here in the top of the third, redshirt first year Jack Schmidt from St. Louis, Missouri. He'll look to get out of this jam right here that the Crusaders have put the Tigers in. Runners at the corners with 2 outs.
Yeah, Brian, and we saw Schmidt this weekend pitch in the series finale against Austin College. He went 2 innings, struck out 3, walked 2, didn't give up any runs, didn't give up any hits, and he'll look to do the same here in order to get out of this inning.
And Schmidt's first pitch is outside, but grabbed by Tyler Pettit, who's blocked a couple in this inning with the runner on third. At the plate for the Crusaders, Jeb Zolman, as Schmidt throws to first base, keeping the runner tight over there. Schmidt's 1-0 to Zolman is swung on and missed. That pitch down and away, but Zolman chases that one to bring the count to 1-1. Now the 1-1 pitch is popped up. Looks to be in foul territory for Metz, and he catches it for out number 3. So 2 more runners left on base for the Crusaders. Lots of runners being left on base by both teams early on. But we head to the bottom of the third with Mary Hardin Baylor and Trinity still tied at 0. as we get set to start the bottom of the third inning here in San Antonio, the Crusaders have a new pitcher on the mound. Alex Palczewski in for the Crusaders. He'll face leadoff hitter Rafe Chomet, and that ball is inside. Palczewski, a familiar face for the Tigers. He started their matchup in Belton, gave up 5 earned runs in 1 inning. And that one is fouled over towards the Tiger dugout and caught by the third baseman. So a quick out for the .392 hitting Rafe Chomet. So a good start to the inning for the new pitcher.
Yeah, and that'll be important for Palczewski here, as he has not worked particularly deep into any appearance that he has made this year, as he delivers his first pitch to Herrera, fouled back. You mentioned that game against Trinity. He went 1 inning, giving up 4 hits, 5 runs, 5 of them being earned. His second pitch also fouled off. And in his last appearance, he did manage to get the win, going 4 innings, but he again gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, all 4 of them being earned.
He has an 0-2 count on the shortstop Herrera, who fouls that one towards the first base side. And if you're looking at the roster, you'll see Palczewski from Fort Worth, but did spend some time in San Antonio growing up, and I happen to know him, played Little League Baseball with him, so good to see him on the mound here against Trinity. And he did mention to me that it's interesting to get to play Trinity, a team that he watched growing up, living here in San Antonio, now facing some of the very hitters he's seen over the last few years. As Herrera evens up the count here at 2-2. And that one's outside, so after starting 0-2 on Herrera, he has worked it back full with 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Tigers looking to get going. And Herrera grounds that, and that is a fair ball, says the third base umpire. Herrera will hold up at first and stick to a single, but a close one over there at the bag. Umpire signaled foul, but quickly reversed course and called that a fair ball. As you see that ball go over the third base bag. So now with a runner on first base and 1 out, that brings up the number 3 hitter, Jack Wisniewski. That first pitch is a called strike. Wisniewski, someone we've seen in around the 6 or 7 hole of the lineup, now hitting third.
Yeah, and after watching him this past weekend against Austin College, it really made sense. This is a really hard-hitting Tiger lineup, but it seems that at times they struggle getting a little pull happy, right? Their approach at the plate seems to remain pretty consistent, but Wisniewski has been a guy that has shown his ability to push the ball the other way and kind of use the entire field during his at-bats, and that's something that you really value a lot in the lineup, so not much of a surprise to see him in the 3-hole today.
And he uses the whole field right there, as you mentioned, on that 0-2 pitch, lining it into left field. So good 2-strike hitting. Going the other way, not afraid to use the entire field.
Yeah, and you see that front shoulder remain in as that ball gets deep into the zone, starts his swing, and is able to send something through the left side.
And that'll bring up the cleanup hitter for the Tigers, Brian Schaub, who walked, as he so often does, in his last at-bat. But here, runners on first and second. See if he can drive in some runs and get the Tigers on the board first. and he lines that one straight into or above the Crusaders' dugout.
And as Schaub steps into the box for this at-bat right here, it is important to note, going back to Wisniewski and his position in the lineup, in the batting order at number 3, how he is aided by the fact that he is a left-handed hitter who's able and capable of using the entire field. Over the past couple games, we have seen defenses shift against him, but it's not really something that's worked out for opposing teams. But that's typically not something that you're going to see for right-handed hitters, right? For Goodrich, for Schaub, they are righties that are very pull-happy, but despite that, defenses aren't going to shift them in any manner.
Palczewski's 1-1 to Schaub. Looped in there for a strike. A nice pitch right there, catching Schaub a little bit off guard.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we saw this weekend a little bit too. Schaub is someone that works to get ahead in the count in order that he can hit the fastball. So you see that pitch away there. So it will be really important in this game and as the season progresses for opposing pitchers to be able to drop in breaking balls and off-speed pitches against Schaub if they want to have any type of success against the fastball hitting 4-hole.
Now the 2-2 count to Schaub, and he flies it out to right field. That is down. A fair ball over there in the corner.
Looks like that one might have gotten hung up in the wind a little bit.
My apologies. Looks like that was caught out in right field, out of our view for a bit. But that brings up the first baseman, Jack Vonderhaar, has another opportunity to drive in runs himself. Runners on first and second with 2 outs. So Palczewski looking to get out of a jam, and no easy task against Schaub and Vonderhaar. The 1-0 to Vonderhaar is a called strike at the top of the plate. Now the 1-1 to Vonderhaar. He fouls it back. And now Palczewski just 1 strike away from getting out of the inning.
And now in a 1-2 count, this is where you really want to see, as a coaching staff, Vonderhaar change his approach a little bit, shorten up on the bat, try and put something in play. Another lefty up at the plate right here, like Wisniewski before him. Can he go the other way, drive something through the left side of the infield?
1-2 pitch is swung on and missed. So Vonderhaar strikes out swinging, leaving 2 more men on base for the Tigers. You see this high strike. And the Crusaders and Palczewski get out of the 3rd inning to keep this game scoreless as we head to the top of the 4th. We will be right back after this break with Trinity and the Crusaders tied at 0. At the plate to start the fourth inning for the Crusaders is Malik Bowlin, and he'll face Jack Schmidt, who came in runners on the corners jam in the third inning, but managed to get out of it and keep this game scoreless. And that one is fouled towards the third base bullpen for the Tigers. Tigers have left 5 men on base. Crusaders have left 3. So some missed opportunities here early for both teams.
Yeah, and for the Crusaders, it's felt like a little bit of an inability to move runners over and bring them in once they've gotten onto base. For the Tigers, it's been a little bit different. They've been successful getting runners on, moving them over, and it just seems that it's taken them a little while to get comfortable in any given inning. They've done most of their work with 2 outs so far.
And that 3-1 pitch, a nice off-speed delivery. Bowlin likely expecting a 3-1 fastball, but not getting that. And now the 3-2 is swung on and missed, so a nice recovery from Schmidt to strike out the leadoff hitter here in the fourth.
Yeah, great job by Schmidt as we see another changeup here. Had the hitter way out in front again. Interesting approach on the mound right there. Typically when a guy is blowing fastballs by someone, he'll stick with the same pitch, but when you have a guy way out in front and you opt to throw the same pitch again, as we see a drag bunt here, but Schmidt handles it, throws to first on time, records the second out of the inning. It looks like that bunt didn't hug the line the way the hitter wanted it to, and that was an easy play for Schmidt as he just came off the front of the mound here just to his right.
And that was Mateo Calle, who is a very fast runner. Required a good throw right there to record the second out. So a couple quick outs here in the fourth. And now Hunter McQuarrie steps to the plate. He fouls that first pitch back. By this point in the game that the Tigers and Crusaders played back on March 23rd, we had seen a combined 11 runs. But so far today, nothing doing for either side.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is the fact that the pitchers that we've seen so far in this game haven't let mistakes compile on top of each other. So we see Schmidt with the 0-2 delivery outside. We've seen pretty much every pitcher on either staff make a mistake of some sort. No one's been perfect tonight. We've seen walks. We've seen hits given up.
And that 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed by McQuarrie, so a second strikeout on the inning for Schmidt. Another changeup right there. So a nice 1-2-3 inning for Schmidt and the Tigers. That'll bring the Tigers up to bat in the bottom of the fourth. Still 0-0 in San Antonio. after getting out of a jam in the last inning, Alex Palczewski's back on the mound for Mary Hardin Baylor. Throws that one for a ball to Mason Meredith, the center fielder from Houston, Texas. And the 1-1 to Meredith is flied out to left center field, and the center fielder calls that one to record the first out of the inning. That's De Berardini out there in center field.
Yeah, and I think that's the second at-bat in a row that Meredith got a breaking ball that he just got out in front on, hit that one off the end of the bat out to center field.
That brings up third baseman MJ Metz to the plate. That second pitch is in for a strike as well, so a 0-2 count for Metz, who's hitting .381 on the year. Walked in his first at-bat, one of three that the Tigers were able to get to load the bases, but unable to bring any of them in. And that 0-2 pitch is just outside.
It's another nervous take right there. That's a spot that we've seen a few pitches already be called strikes.
And that one is in the dirt, gets away from the catcher, but no harm done with nobody on. Now the 2-2 breaking ball in there for strike three. MJ Metz goes down looking for the second out of the inning.
This is a great breaking ball right there. We see that one drop in there. Might catch the back half of the zone, but that's a little bit of a luxury that Palczewski has, given the fact that he was able to get ahead 0-2 in that count. He made some competitive misses and then had Metz frozen on a really great breaking ball to strike him out.
And after allowing 2 hits in the third inning, Palczewski looks to get out of the fourth with a clean inning. That ball's just outside. So a 2-0 count for the catcher, Tyler Pettit. That one is lined right back at the pitcher, but the second baseman is right there for the nice play and the out. Harmon over there in the perfect spot. We'll see that one again. Ranges over to the shortstop side of second base and gets Pettit out at first. So a nice play to end the fourth inning. And as we head to the top of the fifth, Mary Hardin Baylor and Trinity remain scoreless. We are in the top half of the 5th inning here in San Antonio as Schmidt throws that first pitch high and tight to Hunter Jones for ball 1. Schmidt has struck out 2 in 1 1/3 inning of work. And he gets a called strike there on the corner. A couple nice changeups in the last inning from Schmidt, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the past couple of outings, Schmidt has really been at his best when he has that pitch working, as that one's pulled down the left field line. Fair ball. But it looks like Jones will stop at first. Perhaps lost his footing trying to come around the bag right here, as we'll see on this replay right here. Just feet slipped out from under him. Tough break for the Crusaders, who look to have another leadoff hitter in scoring position to open an inning.
Yeah, that's the 4th hit for the Crusaders on the day, but nothing on the scoreboard in the run column. That brings up freshman Blake Harmon. Swings at the first pitch. Interesting to see here, you have 3 freshmen at the bottom of the lineup for Mary Hardin Baylor, with Jones, Harmon, and Gross. Schmidt checking on the runner at first. Might be thinking that Jones, after stumbling, not being able to get to second, wants to get there before we know it. But that one is low and outside. A 1-1 count for Harmon. Looking over to his third base coach. In a low-scoring game, we could possibly see a bunt here. But instead, Harmon lines that one to left field, but Schaub is right there to record the out. So a well-hit ball from Harmon, but not in the right place for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Harmon was all over this pitch, barreled it up, just hit it right at the left fielder. A really tough break.
And that'll bring up Rhett Groves, who doubled in his first at-bat down the third base line. He takes the first pitch from Schmidt for a strike. Schmidt readies the 0-1 pitch, and he picks off at first, but nothing doing there as Wanderer has to jump off the bag. So Jones definitely on Schmidt's mind right here. He takes a pretty wide lead, but Schmidt delivers the pitch, and that changeup is swung on and missed.
Yeah, and again, we see that changeup. Hasn't appeared that anybody in the Crusader order has been able to crack that pitch yet. Pretty much all of their bats have been well out in front of that pitch. We saw that last one coming on the outside part of the plate, but one thing that I think that changeup has allowed Schmidt to do that's kind of contributed to his success in this game, but so far early on the season, it's allowed him to go and attack the inside half of the plate, as we see that one fouled back.
Groves has a 1-2 count here with 1 on and 1 out in the 5th. And he fouls that one just in front of the mound. Home plate umpire saying it is a foul ball right from the start. that bounced up and got him while he was still in the batter's box. So we'll do the 1-2 once again. Crusaders looking to put a run on the scoreboard in the 5th inning. Groves faces the 1-2 from Schmidt, and he lines that one towards right center field. And Meredith is able to snag that one. A nice running catch by the center fielder. That gets past him. Likely the first run of the day for the Crusaders, but we see right here Meredith able to range over and leap a little bit for that grab.
Yeah, and it looked like Meredith might have overrun that one just a little bit going side to side. Took just off the angle that he should have, what would have made that a much easier play for him. Had to jump up and catch the ball over his head in the end.
And now we have Caden DeBerardini, the leadoff hitter, at the plate, as that one is called a strike. Shakes his head a little bit, but that brings the count to 1-1. Runner remains on first base as Schmidt takes a look over at Jones. 2 outs on the inning, and that is fouled back. So a 1-2 count for Schmidt.
Yeah, and Schmidt mixing his pitches very well right here. Drew the count even with a 1-1 with a 1-0 fastball, attacked the hitter with a breaking ball in the zone to go up 1-2.
And Schmidt gets Jones running, and he is out there at second base. So Jones trying to get into scoring position with 2 outs, but Schmidt is able to catch him.
Yeah, and Jones takes off early right here.
And good communication from the Tigers to make sure Schmidt saw that. Just
Not
had
a very
to turn
difficult
around.
play for Schmidt. Just seemed like Jones, most of that inning, was regretting the fact that he fell trying to round first base to start it off.
Yeah, and that fall prevented him from being in scoring position to start the inning. And instead, the Tigers are now up to bat once again in the 5th inning. We will be right back. Welcome back to Trinity Baseball on the Tiger Network. Tigers are up to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning with the game tied at 0. Michael Goodrich, the number 9 hitter, up to bat to lead off the inning. Alex Palczewski still on the mound for Mary Hardin Baylor. His 0-1 pitch is in for a ball. So far, 2 scoreless innings for Palczewski, 2 strikeouts, and just 2 hits allowed, as that one is low for ball 2. A very different outing so far for Palczewski against the Tigers. The last time he was on the mound against Trinity, he gave up 5 earned runs in just 1 inning. So major improvement for Palczewski, as Goodrich fouls that one back, evening up the count at 2-2. Two count is low and away. So a full count to start the bottom half of the 5th inning. Michael Goodrich up to bat. And he sees that one up and in. And he takes a stroll on over to first base and turns the lineup over for the Tigers.
Yeah, really good at bat by Goodrich right there. It has seemed like in the past couple of games for the Tigers, they've had the most success when they get that leadoff runner on base safely. It's what they do here, and as you mentioned, they turn the lineup over, and they have arguably their best overall hitter up at the plate in Shamet.
And Shamet takes pitch number 1 for a ball. Shamet 0 for 2 on the day, but hitting .387 on the year. Leads the Tigers with 29 hits and sees the 1-0 here. And Goodrich is off and running, and he is in there with a stolen base. So a walk and a stolen base to start the inning for Goodrich, and the Tigers have something going in the bottom of the 5th. Shamet sees that one go high and outside. And the catcher, McCory, calls a timeout.
Looks like Palczewski will toss his glasses to the dugout as it gets a little bit darker in San Antonio tonight.
Shamet faces a 1-1 pitch from Palczewski, and that one is high and away for ball 2. So the Tigers have left 5 runners on base in the first 4 innings, looking to finally bring one home. They scored 16 runs last time they faced the Crusaders, but not on the board yet. And they're looking to change that here as Rafe draws another walk for the Tigers. 2 to start the 5th inning. And now shortstop Michael Herrera comes to the plate looking to do some damage. Heart of the Tigers order coming up with nobody on and 2 men on base. You see quite the split here for Herrera, just 4 runs batted in, but has scored 21 runs himself, but looks to reverse that here. Palczewski deals the first pitch, and that is up and in, and Goodrich has taken third base now, so 2 stolen bases for Goodrich in this inning. First taking second, now taking third.
And now with second base open and first base being occupied by Shamet, I'd expect to see some more movement on the base paths here, trying to get a second runner into scoring position, still with no outs in the bottom of the 5th inning.
And I think the catcher McCory there agreeing with you, making sure his infield knows what's going on here. Shamet with a big lead has 5 stolen bases on the year. He does not go here, and that pitch is up and in for ball 2. So Tigers finally looking to strike here. Their number 2 hitter up at the plate with a 2-0 count. 2 men on and nobody out.
But still in a tied game, it'll be important as this one's popped up to the right side.
It
That
drops,
one will
but
fall.
foul.
Just foul.
A real break right there as Ballin and Harmon unable to communicate well.
And it looks like the first baseman called this ball right here as you see him turn and sprint backwards, waving his arms a little bit, but he just got turned around. Be interesting to be out on the field because of those three players, it seems like the right fielder would have the best read on that baseball. He just was not charging in on that one. And Herrera will continue to hit, sending this one to right field. Caught out there by the right fielder, but that one deep enough to score the first run of the game for the Tigers.
Yeah, so Herrera given a second chance after the dropped pop-up in foul territory, and he takes advantage, driving that one to right field. Recorded for the out by Calle, but deep enough to score the Tigers' first run of the game. They take a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the fifth. For the Tigers, that breaks their tie at 7th place. They had 15 sacrifice flies going into today, but now a 16th, and that's now good enough for 6th in the entire nation. So doing a good job of giving up their own at-bat and driving in a run. Now Jack Wisniewski at the plate had a base hit to left field in his last at-bat. Calls timeout here ahead of the 1-0 pitch. So 2 walks costing Mary Hardin-Baylor here in the 5th. Palczewski checks the runner at first. We mentioned Rafe might be wanting to go over there. And that pitch is just high, bringing the count to 2-0 for Wisniewski. And that one is lined into right field, and that'll get down for a base hit. Calle struggles to bring it in, allowing Rafe Chomet to get all the way to third. And once again, runners at the corners for the Tigers, this time with 1 out. You see Wisniewski goes down and gets that one.
Yeah, that one taken off the end of the bat. Another great job of hitting by Wisniewski right there. Just like we talked about in his previous at-bat, he's a guy that's willing to use the entire field while he hits, and that fact allows him to go down and get that pitch out of the zone.
And with the Tigers cleanup hitter Brian Schaub coming to the plate, we have a meeting at the mound between Palczewski and the catcher McQuarrie, making sure they're on the same page. Schaub came to bat with the similar situation last time. Runners on first and second. He flied out, unable to bring them in, but he looks to add to Trinity's lead here in the bottom of the 5th. And the first pitch to Schaub is driven out to the left center field gap, and that is down for a single. Schaub brings in another run, and the Tigers are up 2-0 over Mary Hardin-Baylor. So finally a couple of big hits here for the Tigers.
Back-to-back pitches there where the hitter really went out and got a couple pitches. Looked like and sounded like Schaub went out and was a little bit in front of that one, hit off the end of the bat, but maybe to his benefit as this one got down out in front of the center fielder out there. Was able to bring home the second run of the bottom of the 5th.
And now more opportunities for runs as Jack Vonderhaar steps up to the plate. Still 2 runners on and just 1 out. He sees that pitch just low for ball 1. Vonderhaar with 30 runs batted in on the year. Looks to add a couple more here. He awaits a 1-0 and a called strike. at the top of the zone. Now a 1-1 count from Palczewski to Vonderhaar. Looks back at the runner and throws to second, but he is back in there safely. Wisniewski dancing around back there. As we take a look at this called strike on Vonderhaar.
Definitely a borderline call, but that one goes to the pitcher there, and the count draws even at 1-1.
That delivery inside. They do ask the second base umpire right there if he went around. But looks like the answer was no, and now a 2-1 count for Vonderhaar. 1 out in the bottom of the 5th, 2 runners on. Vonderhaar swings and misses at that high fastball.
Yeah, and now it seems like the Crusaders have caught on a little bit with Vonderhaar's approach. Very pull-happy hitter, and a great position to throw a changeup there. Had Vonderhaar way out in front of it.
Vonderhaar able to foul that one back to stay alive. Vonderhaar leads the team with 30 RBI, but also leads the team with 22 strikeouts now after a strikeout in his last plate appearance. So definitely someone who will swing and miss at times, but that also comes with the power that he has. 5 home runs on the year.
Yeah, but on those last 2 cuts from Vonderhaar, the first of the last 2 especially, it looked like he shortened up. His swing was much more compact, and now working in a 2-2 count, 2 strikes on him, it'll be important that he continues that. Tries to change his approach here, shorten up, put the ball in play, especially something in the other direction, through the left side of the infield here, will likely be able to score a 3rd run for the Tigers in the bottom of the 5th.
And the 2-2, and that is a called strike 3, so that top of the strike zone is there for the Crusaders in this inning. Vonderhaar caught looking. That one in a pretty good spot, more so than the first strike. And that'll bring up center fielder Mason Meredith, who looks to add on to the Tigers' lead, now with 2 down.
Meredith has skied out on 2 breaking balls already in this one. He'll look to change his fortune by either waiting back on a breaking ball in this at-bat, as he was started with another one there, is what it looked like.
We get a great look at that.
Was absolutely able to hold up on that ball in the dirt.
The 1-0 pitch called for a strike. So a couple close calls going Palczewski's way this half inning as he looks to limit the damage to 2. Tigers scoring for the first time tonight. They still have 2 runners on, with Wisniewski dancing around at second base, and that curveball loops in there for a ball 2. We've already seen Goodrich steal 3rd in this half inning, so isn't out of the question to see Wisniewski take 3rd, but with 2 outs, likely won't see that. Now Meredith awaits the 2-1 pitch. Another breaking ball high for a ball. Luke, you mentioned going into this at-bat that Meredith had gotten out on a couple breaking balls, so clearly trying to stick to that, but those are missing just high.
Absolutely. And now working ahead in the count is Meredith, so even if he does see one in the zone here,
and that 3-1
pitch takes advantage
pitches
of a fastball right there, but that one is hauled in center field for the 3rd out of the inning, but the Tigers do scratch home 2 in this inning.
Yeah, well hit ball by Meredith. Looked to be another base hit, but stays in the air just long enough right there for the third out of the inning. But the Tigers do score their first 2 runs of the game. They lead it 2-0 as we head to the top of the 6th inning. We will be right back. And now pitching with the lead for the first time, Jack Schmidt is back out there for Trinity. Schmidt's thrown 2 1/3 innings, not allowing a run, striking out 2. And DeBerardini drops down a bunt. Schmidt able to get off the mound and throw it onto first for the out. A nice play there for Schmidt. A second bunt attempt we've seen for the Crusaders.
Yeah, and much like the first one, the hitter struggles to get this one down and struggles to get it down the line. Too easy of a play for Schmidt here. Hardly has to come off the mound. Ranges just to his right and has plenty of time to make a good throw to first base.
And Holiday showing like he wants to bunt as well, so Crusaders trying to get things going any way they can as things remain scoreless for them here in the top of the 6th. Holiday sees that 0-1 go outside. And the 1-1 pitch is high and inside. Holiday walked in his last at-bat. And he drives that one down the left field line, and that is down for a base hit. He also stumbles running around first, but he is headed for second and in there for a double. So some trouble running around first for the Crusaders, but Holiday able to pull in for the double. You see he pulls that one down the left field line. Schaub was well over toward center field. And right there you saw that stumble, but able to get in there safely.
Yeah, Brian, and even without the stumble on such a hard hit ball, one that's cut off by Schaub in left field, a bit of surprise that the runner opts to try and take 2 there. Looked like it was very close at the bag in the end.
But that decision does put a runner in scoring position yet again for Jeb Zolman, who left 2 men on base last time he came to the plate. And that breaking ball loops in there for strike 2. So we've seen the changeup a lot from Schmidt, but a good breaking ball there.
Absolutely. Now ahead 0-2 in this count, can really use whatever pitches he wants to right here.
And the 0-2 from Schmidt in the dirt outside, but blocked by Pettit to keep Holiday over there at second.
Yeah, great job by Pettit right there. Really uses his shoulders, guides them around that baseball to kill it, and also to send it back towards home plate.
Schmidt still ahead 1-2 on Zolman. And that ball is a called third strike. So up and in right on the corner for Schmidt, his third strikeout on the day. Pettit frames it perfectly, and Zolman goes down looking. So now 2 out, and a runner still on second base for the Crusaders. It'll be up to Malik Bowlin to drive him in.
Yeah, great pitch by Schmidt right there. Just overall, really great pitch sequencing. Was able to drop in a couple of breaking balls. And for perhaps the first time in this one, we saw him use that two-seam fastball with little cut arm side. He used it on the inside half of the plate and had the hitter absolutely frozen in the batter's box.
But a key moment right here as Malik Bowlin leads the Crusaders with 4 home runs on the year, so could tie it with one swing of the bat. Schmidt looking to avoid that and keep the Tigers ahead. That ball in the dirt, but stopped once again by Pettit. And the 2-0 to Bolin is swung on. Little check swing there. Didn't really want to go around, but did. Now a 2-1 count.
But with this at bat, as we see the replay of this pitch here, clearly went around, broke the plane on that pitch. See another off-speed pitch there, catch the outside corner, and quickly after being down 2-0, Schmidt evens the count at 2-2. But with this at bat, Schmidt is now facing his 10th batter of the night. So every Crusader pitcher in the order, as we see Schmidt spike a fastball there, Pettit able to keep it in front, but the runner will advance to third, and the Crusaders are 90 feet closer to scratching their first run of this one. But as I was saying, Schmidt has now faced every hitter in this Crusader lineup. They have now seen pretty much everything that he is going to throw their way. In order for him to be successful in the rest of this one, he's really going to have to command his pitches, and he does so there. Another great breaking ball at the bottom of the zone, and Bolin strikes out way in front of this one, way off balance.
And the Crusaders leave their 4th runner on base, unable to scratch their first run of the day. So the Tigers maintain their 2-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. We will be right back here in San Antonio. And before the Tigers come back to the plate in the bottom of the 6th inning, you see their upcoming schedule. After spending the entire month of March on the road, they have another couple of home games against Shriner upcoming. Then they go on the road to Concordia for a doubleheader. Then they go back into conference play, face the University of Dallas, before coming back home for what should be a good matchup against Centenary College here in San Antonio. And as the Crusaders start their half, the Tigers start their half of the sixth inning, the Crusaders have a new pitcher on the mound, Zach Honey, the freshman from Round Rock. As Honey prepares his 2-0 pitch to MJ Metz down low for a ball. Honey faced the Tigers in these two teams' matchup in Belton, gave up 4 unearned runs, but got tagged with the loss. So another familiar face here between these two teams as the 3-0 is down low for a 4-pitch walk to start the inning. Not the way Honey wants to start that one.
But since that loss against the Tigers, Honey has come back out in games against Southwestern and Sul Ross State, pitching 5 innings across those 2 appearances, giving up 8 hits and 4 earned runs, but earning the win in each of those games.
Now Tyler Pettit to the plate, and that's Honey's first strike of the game to start ahead of Pettit.
That one catches the outside corner there. And for those watching at home, you can clearly see that Honey has a much different delivery to the plate. Very long, drops down as Pettit offers a bunt before pulling his bat back. This is a style of pitching that I think might have some success against the Tigers in this one.
Pettit grounds that one to shortstop. He turns it to second base and on to first for the double play. So just like that, that leadoff walk is eliminated. And you see that chopper to the shortstop Holiday turns it to Harmon and on to Bolin for 2 quick outs. So Honey rebounds from that leadoff walk and now faces Goodrich with nobody on and 2 men down.
And as I was saying, Honey will likely have some success against these Tiger hitters as Goodrich swings and misses at that first pitch strike. Honey drops down, and with that, his velocity will likely be a tick down, and there's probably going to be a little bit of movement on the baseball. And against a lineup of primarily right-handed hitters who are looking to pull the ball, as Goodrich does look to do so there on the second strike of this at-bat as it moves to 0-2. Honey's likely going to be really successful at inducing some soft contact, as we saw in that double play ball.
Goodrich able to stay alive right there on the 0-2 pitch, fouling it back. And you mentioned the left-handed hitters in the Tigers lineup. There are 3 of them, but in the top half of the order, these 6, 7, 8, and 9 hitters that Honey has been put into face are all right-handers. So interesting to see him be put into this situation, but it looks like he, with a difficult throw, unable to get the third out of the inning. And now Goodrich on to second. So just as it looked like Honey would get the 1-2-3 inning after the double play, he will have to face another Tiger.
Yeah, and just a tough play here for Honey to make, as we'll see it again. Typically, a left-handed pitcher is going to fall off the mound towards that third base line, but because of Honey's unorthodox delivery, he's actually being pulled towards the first base line. And since this one is chopped softly on that left side, it's a much more difficult play than it typically would be for a left-handed hitter. He has to field this one and throw while he's continuing to move away from first base.
And strike one called right there on Rafe Chomet, but Goodrich really causing some trouble on the base pass. Stole 2 bases when the Tigers scored 2 runs, and now his hustle all the way to first allows him to move on to second, cause a bad throw. Although it was definitely a tough play, and now Honey falls over towards the first base side. Really swinging that pitch and unable to keep his footing.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Goodrich has provided a ton of value on the base paths tonight. And I think that's really interesting, important to note, as he is someone who, when he finds his way into the lineup defensively, it's typically behind the plate at catcher. So to come into this one and to be able to steal 2 bags, I'm sure it caught the Crusaders a little off guard, as they've probably been used to seeing him behind the plate, and with that, not expecting him to attempt to steal bags in recent years.
As Goodrich stands off of second base, Rafe awaits the 2-2 pitch from Honey. Able to stay back on that one, but flies out towards left field for the third out of the inning. Jones out there able to collect the easy fly ball. And so Mary Hardin-Baylor keeps the Tigers off the board there in the 6th inning. As we head to the top of the 7th, the Tigers still lead 2-0. You got another good look at those Division III baseball rankings that have the Trinity Tigers at the top, #1 across the nation with their 16-1 record. Winners of 9 consecutive games, looking to make that 10 as they lead Mary Hardin-Baylor 2-0 here in the top of the 7th. Jack Schmidt still on the mound for the Tigers. This pitch up and in for a ball, but Schmidt has thrown 3 1/3 scoreless innings, struck out 4, allowing just 2 hits and has not walked a batter. So a good performance from the redshirt first year, as he starts this one 3-0 to Mateo Calle. And that ball is also up and in, so a 4-pitch walk to start the inning, just what the Crusaders are hoping for, as they need base runners and they need runs if they look to pull even here in the 7th inning.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Brian. The Crusaders need base runners right here, but it's an added bonus in Calle that they'll get an absolute speedster on the bases right here, someone who looked to lay down a bunt in his last plate appearance. I wouldn't be surprised to see some movement on the base pass right here. Will be important for Schmidt and Pettit to keep him in check.
Yeah, you are absolutely right on that, Luke. Calle 11 for 11 on stolen base attempts this year. Quite the numbers right there that really stand out. Now a visit to the mound. The team as a whole is 52 for 58 on stolen base attempts. Just a remarkable percentage of success there.
And Coach Dave Smith came out, took the ball from Schmidt after 50 pitches on the evening. We'll see the trot out from the bullpen. See if we can see a number of the new pitcher for the Tigers here. Inheriting a runner over at first base will be number 13, Matthew Thomas.
As Thomas takes his warm-up pitches, we will take a quick break and be right back as the Crusaders look to tie up the score here in the 7th. Hunter McCory at the plate for the Crusaders, and Matthew Thomas in on the mound from the bullpen. Throws a first pitch strike there, but the count is 1-1 as he came in during a 1-0 count, taking over for Jack Schmidt. Schmidt threw 3 1/3 innings, didn't give up a run, but that runner on first base is his responsibility. And McCory sends that one to center field. Meredith able to come up with it, record the first out of the inning. So another well-hit ball for the Crusaders, but just not able to drop in there.
Yeah, and for McCory, it looked like he just got jammed just a bit on this one. Hit that off the handle, and it hung up just long enough for Meredith to come in and make a play on it.
Now Hunter Jones at the plate fouls that one back. 1 for 2 on the day. And Thomas on the mound, looking to right the ship a little bit, has given up 3 runs in his last 2 outings against Sul Ross State and Austin College. That one in the dirt outside. Pettit able to come up with the stop. Thomas does have 16 strikeouts in just 10 2/3 innings this year. 2 saves so far as well, so someone the Tigers definitely rely on late in games. He's able to get ahead of Jones 1-2 here. Still have Kaye over there at first with the 11 stolen bases on the year, but not going anywhere yet as that one is fouled back, and we'll have another 1-2 pitch coming up. One-two pitch low. Jones able to lay off. Evens up the count at 2-2. That 2-2 breaking ball in there for a strike. Called third strike on Jones here. That ball's right on the outside corner.
Yeah, and a really great at-bat by Thomas right there. On that last foul ball that we saw when Thomas was up 1-2 in the count, it looked like he missed his spot with his fastball, threw it in when Pettit, the catcher, was asking for it away, but I think that ended up really helping him out, setting up that breaking ball right there that absolutely froze the hitter at the plate.
And now Blake Harmon steps to the plate, trying to get something going with 2 outs. Does have a runner on first. Thomas delivers the 0-1. That is tipped into the catcher's mitt for a second strike. And that ball is in and hits Harmon. 0-2 pitch gets away from Thomas and gives the Crusaders some more life here in the top of the 7th. Not something Thomas wanted to do, as now the tying run is on base. Rhett Groves comes to the plate. He doubled down the line in his first at-bat. A very capable hitter for the Crusaders, a third consecutive freshman to come to the plate. He's driven in 11 runs on the year, and will look to get 1 or 2 big ones here in the top of the 7th. Pitch from Thomas low for a strike. One from Thomas is also in there for a second strike, so gets out in front of Groves 0-2 just like he did Harmon. We'll hope to finish him off in a different way.
Yeah, a really great job by Thomas right here, trying to take the bat out of Gross's hands.
And the bat does hit the ball this time, but Metz ranges over to get it and is unable to throw accurately to first base. Vonderhaar taken off the bag. As you see, a soft ground ball. Was a tough play for Metz to step in front of the shortstop and take it. But Groves running well down the line, forcing a rush throw. And now the bases are loaded. 2 outs, a big moment in this game. And leadoff hitter Caden DeBerardini chops it to first base, and that stays fair. And so much for that threat, as Vonderhaar steps on the bag and is able to help Thomas get out of this bases loaded jam. Vonderhaar, you see, waits for it in fair territory, easily steps on the bag. And so a couple more runners left on base for the Crusaders. It's time to stretch here in San Antonio. The Tigers are up 2-0 as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. We'll be right back. We hope you all got to stretch right there in the middle of the 7th inning as Michael Herrera steps to the plate. Zach Honey still on the mound for the Crusaders. And as we here in the studio got up to stretch as well along with you, as Herrera pops that up in the infield, looks to be catchable, but almost wasn't. So a couple pop-ups that have caused trouble over there on the right side of the infield, but Bolin able to get that out. But as we got up to stretch here in the studio, we looked back on the history of the 7th inning stretch as we were just commenting how appropriate it is to stand up at this exact time. Just feels like the right moment. And it turns out that legend has it that President William Howard Taft was attending a game in 1910 and just decided to get up during the middle of the 7th inning, and people thought we should get up with him. And legend goes that that's how the 7th inning stretch became what it is today. So for those at home who came for a baseball game, also get a little bit of an American history lesson. And that pitch is in for a strike on Wisniewski. Honey really an uncomfortable at bat for these left-handed hitters as he comes right at them. And that pitch is called for a strike outside. Now the 1-2 to Wisniewski in the same spot and swung on and missed. So that call for the second strike got Wisniewski to swing through that one, trying to protect, but unable to make contact. And there are now 2 down here in the 7th.
Yeah, just some really great pitching by Honey to start this inning. First against Herrera, went in on the right-handed hitter. Herrera, a little bit tardy on the pitch, dropped his bat and popped it up in the infield. And then in that second at-bat of the inning against Wisniewski, threw a couple of breaking balls in a row that looked like they just caught the outside corner. And they forced the bat out of the hands of Wisniewski, forced him to swing at a pitch that I'm not sure he typically would, and ultimately he was sat down on strikes.
That brings up cleanup hitter Brian Schaub. Fouls that one back. Schaub got a base hit in his last time at the plate. Drove in a run for the Tigers. Now lines that one too short, and a nice play by Holiday, able to field it and get the throw onto first for the out. So a 1-2-3 inning for Honey, as we see Schaub once again a nice snag at shortstop, and the Crusaders make quick work of the Tigers, so they come to bat in the top of the 8th inning, still down 2-0. We'll see if they can get on the board late. As we're back here for the top of the 8th, you got another look at the Tigers' upcoming schedule. We do hope you will join us on Friday on the Tiger Network as the Tigers host a conference opponent. Schreiner University will come to town We'll have everything right here on the Tiger Network. As for Mary Hardin Baylor, they're off to Brownwood for a matchup against Howard Payne University. A big conference matchup for both teams who are playing this midweek cross-conference game. Holiday leading off this inning, grounds it foul towards first base. The Crusaders have an 11-11 record, 4-8 in their American Southwest Conference. They are 7-3 against the SCAC. Holiday pops that one up. Wisniewski able to field that one cleanly. And that's the first out of the inning. We saw a little bit of trouble for the Crusaders on a similar pop-up in this area earlier in the game, but Wisniewski able to pull that in without a problem. And right back over there to that side of the field is Jeb Zolman, who grounds a single to right field. So first pitch swinging there, able to collect a base hit. And once again, the tying run comes to the plate. And for the Crusaders, the guy they want in this situation, Malik Bolin with 4 home runs, leads the team but bounces that one right to Herrera, who bobbles it, steps on the bag, and is unable to get the out at first base. So ranging over towards the bag, Herrera bobbles it for a second, but able to collect it, step on the bag for the out, and just late over there at first.
Yeah, more than anything for Herrera, that seems like a matter of just trying to move too quickly, to be honest with you. That one absolutely grounded into the area right around home plate. Might have been in the dirt, causing it to pop up really high in the air right there, almost as high as a little jam shot. And Herrera got to his spot, but might have overrun it just a little bit. Was thinking ahead on that play, and ultimately it fell out of his glove on that one.
And that 0-1 pitch is in there for a strike. Kaye, the third consecutive Crusader batter to swing at the first pitch. So really aggressive hitting here, trying to get to Thomas and get some action going. And that one is down and away. Pettit able to stop that from going to the backstop. Crusaders have Bolin over there at first base. 2 down in the inning. And Kaye swings and fouls it into Pettit's mitt for the third out of the inning. A strikeout for Thomas. You see a good pitch right there on the inside part of the plate. Kaye able to foul it off, but Pettit hangs on. And Thomas able to work around a single to keep the Tigers on top 2-0. We head to the bottom of the 8th here in San Antonio with the Tigers up by 2. Welcome back to our presentation of Trinity Baseball on the Tiger Network. We find the Tigers up 2-0 over the Mary Hardin Baylor Crusaders. Zach Honey still on the mound for Mary Hardin Baylor. He's facing first baseman Jack Vonderhaar, who grounds it back to Honey, able to stop it in front of him and get the out at first base.
You'll see on that replay, Vonderhaar just out in front of that one, got on top of it, rolled over just a bit, and hit one softly back to Honey on the mound, who knocked it down and retired Vonderhaar at first base.
And now the first pitch to Mason Meredith, a called strike. Honey's thrown 2 1/3 scoreless innings since taking over on the mound, as that one's low and away. He's given up 1 hit, walked 1 batter, and struck out 1. So he's doing his job to keep the Crusaders in this ball game. Meredith lines that one to shortstop, but Holiday right there throws it across the diamond for the second out of the inning.
It's a nice piece of hitting by Meredith right here. Pulls his hands in, gets the barrel out in front. Just happened to pull this one right at the shortstop. Barreled it up nicely, but an unlucky piece of hitting in terms of where that ball ended up.
And that first pitch to third baseman MJ Metz is just outside. Honey looks to get his team back to the plate to try to tie things up in the 9th. And that one's in there for a strike. Metz able to foul that one back. Metz is 0 for 1 on the day, but does have 2 walks. Tigers overall with just 5 hits on the day, but the 2 all-important runs. Crusaders have 6 hits, but nothing across home plate yet. Both teams have also left 8 men on base, so plenty of opportunities, just not able to capitalize. As that 1-2 pitches outside. We've mentioned it a couple times. Last time these two teams faced each other, Tigers won 16-7, but nothing like that type of game here, as the pitching has really dominated. And Metz sends that one to deep left field, and there's the offense we've been looking for, as that ball is gone. MJ Metz sends a 2-2 pitch over the left field wall for the home run. And the Tigers add to their lead 3-0 over Mary Hardin Baylor. We'll take a look at the replay here. Metz crushing that ball.
Yeah, it looked like a slider from Honey there that just got left out over the plate. Metz does a great job, just like Meredith before him. Pulls his hands through, just a much better launch angle on this one, and hits one off the scoreboard.
And Pettit not wasting time, lining that one right back up the middle as well. Unable to corral it are the Crusaders, and Pettit now on first base. Harmon shifted over there, but just unable to get the tough hop. Michael Goodrich now up at the plate. sees a ball to start the at-bat. Looking back at that Mets home run, that's his second on the year. Had one against the University of St. Thomas in Houston. Now pulling the Tigers ahead 3-0, as that one's in the dirt but able to be blocked by McQuarrie. And in a tight game like this, every run matters. So now just an extra step the Crusaders have to take if they want to come back in this one. That pitch from Honey inside falls back 3-0 to Goodrich. So Honey had retired 6 consecutive Tiger batters before that home run by Metz, and that seems to have really rattled him, as he's walked Goodrich now on 4 pitches, moving Pettit over to second base and bringing the top of the lineup over for the Tigers. Rafe Chomet looks to add to this lead even more.
Yeah, and after making that mistake against a right-handed hitter in Metz, Honey did not want to mess around with Goodrich in that at-bat at all. There wasn't an open base, but he won't mind moving a runner over with a walk there in order to face the lefty here.
That first pitch to Chomet called a ball. Chomet already faced Honey once in this game. Flied out to left field, as Honey once again falls off the mound towards the first base side. Looking to limit the damage and give his team a chance to come back in this one, while the Tigers look to pull away. Chomet looks at that 2-0 pitch down, and now 7 consecutive balls thrown by Honey. If we were at Texas A&M, they would have started their ball chant. Unfortunately, don't have any fans here at Trinity. And that pitch is called a strike. Not quite getting to ball 8. Chomet thought that was ball 4 for him. But he'll get another chance at the plate. Honey ready for the 3-1. And in a very similar spot, this time called a ball. Chomet walks on over to first base, and the bases are loaded for the Tigers, and now we have a visit to the mound and a pitching change coming up for the Crusaders. So Tigers really looking to pull away here, Luke.
Yeah, and after recording 2 quick outs to start this inning, Honey worked himself into a bit of trouble. And you have to figure that a little bit of that was mental after giving up a home run, not wanting to allow another big hit off the bat of a very threatening Tigers order. And he just lost control of this inning right here.
We will take a quick break as the Crusaders make their pitching change. When we come back, the Tigers will have the bases loaded and 2 outs. On the mound for the Crusaders is freshman Zach Carroll, and quite the moment for the freshman to be placed into, as the Tigers have the bases loaded and 2 out. Michael Herrera up at the plate, looking to blow this game wide open, and instead he grounds it to second base on the first pitch, and unable to collect it is the second baseman, throws it home, and he is safe. 2-run score off the routine ground ball to second. Let's see what happened here. Harmon right there, unable to get the ground ball, and as he gathers it, a second run comes in to score. You see right there, Goodrich called safe. So a disaster right there for the Crusaders, looking to get out of the inning just down 3. Instead, they're down 5-0.
Yeah, and Harmon on that one choosing to wait back on a ball that wasn't particularly hard hit. And when you wait that long for a ball to travel that distance, start to get into your head, and that one ate him up out there at second base, allowing a couple more runs to cross here in the bottom of the 8th for Trinity, pushing their lead to 5 runs now.
A really tough break for Carroll, who came in and got a weak ground ball on the first pitch. Now has to face Wisniewski with 2 outs and 2 runners still on. Carroll, in his last appearance for Mary Hardin Baylor, threw 2 1/3 innings, gave up just 1 run. That was against Sul Ross State. Sul Ross State being the only team to beat Trinity this year. So we've seen these cross-conference matchups between the SCAC and the ASC produce some upsets already. But Mary Hardin Baylor not looking likely to pull off an upset here, as they're down 5-0 in the bottom of the 8th to the top-ranked Trinity Tigers. Carroll's 2-2 pitch to Wisniewski is high and away. So a full count, and the runners will be going here with 2 outs. There go the runners, and there goes the pitch, and lined right back towards right field. Another base hit for Wisniewski. Drives in Chomet. That is 3 hits on the day for Wisniewski, pushing his average likely over 400 now. Came into that at bat hitting .397, and he gets another base hit right here, similar to his last one. Just a line drive to right field. Tigers really pouring it on here.
And as you can see from that replay, not a bad pitch from Carroll right there. Just another great piece of hitting by Wisniewski, who was on time, got his barrel out in front, and pulled that ball through the right side.
And now we have a pinch hitter for the Tigers. Hitting for Brian Schaub is Ezra Gore, who swings at the first pitch and flies it out to right field. Kaye able to put that one away for the 3rd out of the inning, but not before the Tigers get 4 more insurance runs in the bottom of the 8th, giving them some real cushion as they look to pull off this midweek victory over Mary Hardin Baylor. We'll be right back with the top of the 9th inning. Matthew Thomas is back on the mound for the Tigers, now with a much bigger lead than before. 6-0 lead for the Tigers, as Hunter McCrory looks to get something going for the Crusaders, who have been unable to put across a run in tonight's game. That pitch from Thomas up, 4-2. And the 2-1 is sent by McCrory just over the shortstop Herrera's head. So a base runner to start the top of the ninth, and they'll need plenty of those if they want to get back in this game.
And after being jammed on a ball hit to center field in his last at-bat, McCrory, although jammed in this at-bat as well, does enough with this one to muscle it over the head of the shortstop and drop one in for a single to start the top of the ninth, as the Crusaders look to get back into this one, need to string together some hits right here.
And if they're going to get back in this game, it'll be the bottom of the order that will have to do it, as Jones swings through that pitch down and out of the zone. Jones, the 7-hole hitter, already has one hit on the day, but will not get a second, as Thomas is able to strike him out looking. Beautiful breaking ball drops in there on the outside corner. Get another look at it. And Jones doesn't even hesitate. Knew right away that he was headed back to the dugout.
Yeah, not much that can be done with that pitch from Thomas right there. Some true 12-6 action and already down 0-2 in the count. Jones opts not to swing at a pitch that would be very difficult to make contact with anyway.
And now pinch hitting for the Crusaders, sophomore Jacob Delapoli, who looks at a ball inside. Delapoli fouls that one. And that pitch is down low for a ball. Thomas has thrown 2 1/3 innings, not allowing a run, striking out 3 while giving up 2 hits, so a much improved performance from his last 2 times out, in which he gave up 3 runs each. Now goes full on the pinch hitter, and that's a called strike 3. So 2 consecutive strikeouts looking for Thomas, and the Tigers are 1 out away from their 10th consecutive victory.
And 2 consecutive strikeouts looking on absolute gems of pitches right there. Thomas does a great job with a breaking ball in the last at-bat, and then paints the black with a fastball right there to sit down the pinch hitter. Now just 1 out away from ending this one in San Antonio.
Standing in the way of victory for the Tigers is Rhett Groves, who doubled in his first at-bat. Quiet ever since then. And that's a called strike on the outside corner. So Thomas looking really sharp here in his 3rd inning of work. The 1-1 from Thomas. swung on and missed in the dirt. So the Crusaders down to their last strike.
Yeah, just a wipe out curveball right there from Thomas. Ahead in the count 1-2. Obviously has the hitter off balance here.
And a little bit off balance there, but able to stay alive is Groves. So we will do the 1-2 count yet again. Thomas looking and delivering. And that's just low and outside. Two count now to Groves. And another called third strike for Thomas. Strikes out the side. All looking, and that's another victory for the Trinity Tigers. They have won 10 consecutive games and defeat Mary Hardin Baylor, shutting them out, putting together their second shutout of the season. Luke, what's your reaction to this victory for the Tigers?
I'm a bit surprised by the level of pitching that we saw in this one, specifically given the fact that this was a midweek game, a game in which we saw a higher number of pitchers than you typically would be used to seeing. For Mary Hardin Baylor, I think you have to be happy with the effort that the guys on the mound gave you tonight. They gave up 6 runs, but that came on 8 hits from the Tigers. Ultimately, the Crusaders weren't helped out by their defense. 2 errors did contribute to the totals for the Tigers. For Trinity, I think you have to be stoked with your pitching as well. A great start from Tyndall, followed by a strong performance from Schmidt, and finished up by a great performance by Thomas, who was in control of the strike zone the entire time he was out there. All 3 pitchers, bright spots for the Tigers, and will be called upon to do the same as Trinity moves forward with their season.
Yeah, and showing the strength of the Trinity Tigers baseball team, ranked number 1 in the nation. And you see a senior starting the game, and sandwiched in between another senior that closes the game is a freshman who went 3 1/3 innings, not allowing a run. So some real bright spots all around for the Tigers. MJ Metz hitting a home run, his second of the year. Jack Wisniewski going 3 for 5, driving in a run. You see the Tigers' upcoming schedule. They have a couple home games against SCAC rival Shriner before heading back on the road to face Concordia and Dallas, and they'll be back home at the end of the month to face Centenary. We hope you'll join us for all of these home games on the Tiger Network. It's been a real pleasure. For Luke Terry, I'm Brian Yanselson. Have a good night.